And we're live.
Okay.
Hello again.
Hello.
How's it going, Ben?
Yeah, it's going okay. It's not too bad at all.
Just I'm talking about how I'm not seen you in a little while.
Yeah, you've been distant.
What are you trying to say?
Nothing. You were training with us for quite a while, weren't you?
Yeah. No, well, leading up to your grappling competition. Yeah.
We've got the next one coming.
Yeah, is it the
28th of April?
28th, yeah.
Yeah.
Should be good. The last one was amazing.
Well, the only issue that we've got is last one we had 41 people sign up and we had 60 people turn up and we've had 112 people sign up.
Oh, shit.
So we're kind of hoping that we don't get a third extra because we don't know where to put them. And
it was a really good competition last time.
Yeah, really good.
There was although there was a sort of mixture of experience, it's people weren't really complaining or they were just getting on with whoever they were matched up with. You know, it was a good, it was a good experience.
It was just about having a bit of fun. Do you know what I mean? I think it's never going to be well, I can't ever let it be anything serious because I'm not a serious person. So the latest one is Suave Maga Masters of the Universe because everyone got offended with me having the World Championships. So,
okay.
So I've decided this one's the Masters of the Universe.
Masturbators of the Universe would
probably with S&M, yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot that's what it stands for.
Yeah, it's been good. We've got a few sponsors now, and my favourite is Paul Patrick. So we've got sponsors like Forsetti Group, who's a building company. We've got the Dungeon Bar, and we have...
That sounds a bit ominous. What is that?
That's... Do you know James Smith's brother, Mark?
Oh, right, okay.
He's opened like an American-style themed bar up the road from the club, like 200 yards away.
Oh, that must have been where they were going to watch the Nogi, the competition.
That's where we went, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And he's taken one of the most dodgiest pubs in the world and turned it into this, like, it's got loads of cool stuff in it. It's graffitied up.
Nice.
It's run by cool guys.
Wow. And
so
it's just like a few doors up from a really sort of ominous gay bar as well.
That's closed down.
Oh shit! How do you know? It always looked closed.
Well, they sent me my end of term membership, so yeah, it's a bit gutting. Jocks has gone, but yeah, and Natalie, the hairdressers, has sponsored us as well. So and Silica Life, of course. So I'm quite looking forward to putting Paul Patrick the plumber as a sponsor. I think that's fantastic.
It sounds like a really good fight name as well.
Yeah, that's what you should come out to, isn't it? Paul Patrick the plumber.
Did you see the fights then for UFC 223?
Yeah, it was a bit of a shame on old Alaquinta, wasn't it?
That was crazy. It was a crazy week.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think we've ever had that through Fight Week, all that drama.
No, it was pretty intense, and my take on it with Connor and Artem is that you don't mess around with Dagestanis. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? They're just a different breed, aren't they?
Yeah. They've seen a lot of shit, I guess.
If you see what he did to one of Artem's training partners, or you're not allowed to say he did it, but
supposedly,
allegedly, he allegedly members of his team. Sorry,
I'll just bring that to you. It's fine.
Members of his team went and beat this fighter up and tried to cripple him and stuff, didn't they? So.
Yeah, it's very much like a sort of cartel, I guess.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
I don't think Khabib has to fight. I think he's got a lot of money. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
There is sort of a lot of people took issue with the actual fight itself in terms of the striking side of it, and he didn't seem to try and take him down. I watched BJJ Scout. He's one of the best guys that breaks down the fights on YouTube, and he was showing why. Alaquinta had sort of made slight changes in his game so that then Khabib couldn't sort of just take him down. And I always thought, I said this when we were watching the fights live, like Khabib's, I don't think he has like great sort of technique initially when he sort of goes in for the takedown. Like he always shoots against the cage and his head's always like really down. But from then when he's got that, you know, a grip of you, he's just obviously a monster. And
yeah, he's one of the best grapplers that I've ever seen. Once he gets someone to the deck, I mean, he seems to just sort of bungle his way into getting into a clinch. Do you know what I mean?
But so once he has the clinch, he's
unstoppable.
He can take anybody out.
Once he gets his hands together, he just seems to be able to throw people around. Someone that I've been really studying really closely. So like, I like the way that he runs people over their hands when they're in a turtle position. Yeah. So that they can't build themselves a base. He's not necessarily wanting to take the back too easy. Yeah. And he's always trying to get behind them, and it's something that classically we would push someone against the cage and work them against the cage. If you notice with Khabib, he's always trying to get behind them, even peel them off the cage.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's something that I've been really looking at, and with his ground and pound, he's actually really dangerous in the guard,
Right.
because he stands up in the guard and he creates space, and that's when he does his most damage. When he's controlling someone on the floor and hitting them, he doesn't seem to do as much damage. So yeah, it's been really, really interesting to have a look at his game. Yeah. And
I think it answered a lot of questions and sort of brought up a lot more in terms of Khabib, you know, and people are saying he's only fought one top 10 guy. That could be an issue when he comes to defend his belt, I guess, or not. Maybe he's just a beast, and that's the way it's going to be.
I don't really know. I can't see anyone being able to deal with him. He just seems to be able to storm through stuff. I mean, we've seen him hurt once in 25 fights.
Yeah. And he came right out.
Yeah, and everyone's kind of like, oh, he got hit by Michael Johnston. And if you're a fighter and you've never been hit, then that's...
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I can't see... Conor is not going to beat him. Everyone keeps telling me Conor will catch him on the way in. I'm like, yeah, he might, but I doubt it.
No.
And yeah, well, it'd be interesting to see him.
I mean, that is the fight, I think, now. You know, we were invested too much in seeing him fight Tony for the fourth time.
Yeah.
It didn't happen, you know, essentially. So I think everyone's a bit jaded by that idea. So I think the only possible way for him now is to fight Conor, to have that sort of money, I guess, bring in.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of talk about, I don't know what you feel about it, the conspiracy that this is all a big setup from the UFC to make this fight the biggest fight ever.
I don't know, like...
I'd like to believe that.
I want to.
Yeah.
I would love to, but I can't subscribe to it because of what Conor did and who got hurt as well in this, you know, and I don't know, like, I think there should be consequences for what he did. I mean, some people are talking about banning him for life. That's way overboard, you know. There's people that have done more and got less, you know.
Yeah.
But you should have to sort of pay, whether with time or I don't know, community service or something.
Well, I think when they broke it down, Chael Sonnen's interview was the best.
Yeah.
He's a really bright chap, and he was like saying, well, he's going to get sued off New York. He's invited into the USA at the moment. He's not a USA citizen, so that could be revoked. So he might not be able to fight in America anymore. There's a list of things that he can get sued for. There's the fighters on the bus that couldn't compete.
Yeah.
There's the guy that got his cornea scratched. He may be blind for the rest of his life. So that big bank account of Conor's is emptying pretty quickly.
But what if nothing happens? Does that show that it truly is sort of just about money then?
I have no idea.
Because we're at a tipping point where the UFC and whoever the commission can sort of not make an example, because when you make an example you go to an extreme, I guess. Just do what they have to do under if it was anybody else. But if nothing happens, then that just shows that it's all about money.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I don't think it's a conspiracy. I think that Conor just flipped his lid, and a lot of people are backing Conor, saying that it shows what a level of respect he had for Artem, and that he wanted to cover his back and all that kind of stuff. But to me, it was one of the stupidest moves that he could make.
It's okay when you're at the top of the heap, but when, you know, there's people who are following you like Artem underneath you, they're not going to get anything out of that, you know.
No. Well, they're talking about putting sort of restrictions on Artem now, aren't they? So he's kind of screwed his career. So his best mate has screwed it up for him, got pulled from his fight. He doesn't get paid. Not a good situation to be in. And I think...
it's funny, when I saw the interviews with Artem leading up to that, when they were asking like what happened between him and Khabib, like he has this sort of strange hybrid Irish accent. Like it comes out when he gets really angry, and he sounds like Conor a little bit.
Yeah, it's a bit weird. But why would you in Russia tell Khabib that he's a coward? Yeah. That seems absolutely ridiculous to me.
Yeah, and he seems to be pretty backed by everyone who's legit. And I think he's like Fenrir and Putin have had some hand in it as well, and now he's trying to call him out.
It's a bit scary, isn't it? It's a bit scary. It's a bit like, yeah. We'll see what happens. I think with Khabib's style, he's going to be incredibly difficult to stop. Yeah. So whoever he fights, good luck to them, because that's a scary dude.
The only thing I kind of see happening maybe is the casual fan getting sort of frustrated by his style, because there are a lot of people that are on the Khabib hype train just now, but once they start to see that this is his game and this is how he takes people out, it's not really good for a lot of viewers either.
No, I suppose we appreciate it for what it is, but a lot of people,
it's technically brilliant.
People want to see. Although he did trade in this one, didn't he? He was jabbing the hell out of Alaquinta's face. I was like, my favourite bit was when he jabbed him 3 times and then, do you want number 4? And Alaquinta went, yeah, and he hit him again. that was absolutely beautiful. But we'll see what happens. It's a bit of a strange one, but the UFC it doesn't shock me anymore, whatever they do. Do you know what I mean? They seem to just do whatever they want to do. So there's all this talk about having Conor versus Floyd with different MMA rules.
That's bullshit. They won't do that.
With no kicks and no takedowns.
So it's boxing in a cage.
It's boxing in a cage with 4-ounce gloves, really, and you're allowed to clinch. So
we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, it's just about that, innit?
Have you seen this? Do you watch Netflix at all?
Yeah.
Have you seen the what is it, the knuckle one?
Bare knuckle boxer.
Yeah.
The
TV
guy
series on the guy that did the documentary about being the enforcer.
Yeah. Yeah, the
good.
one up in Liverpool. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
it's really good.
I did the bare knuckle boxing at Appleby Fair when I was younger, and I got schooled by gypsies. I really got schooled by gypsies. Yeah, they're very, very good at making you think you're good, and then they take your feet from underneath you and destroy you, and they're very hard. It was a great weekend. I don't remember much of it because there was lots of poachine drunk.
Lots of cider, I guess.
It was a really weird affair. It was brilliant, but it felt completely lawless, and you were just like slightly frightened all the time.
Yeah.
And the male machismo of a gypsy is kind of like, even for me, was a bit scary. But it was a good experience, and what I learned from it is I would never do it again. I had 3 fights. Yeah.
You learned
very
this
sore head.
You learned this after your last fight.
Yes. Yeah. I had 3 fights. I got beaten all 3 fights. Yeah. It was, and I got beat. I didn't just get beat. I got beat.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's different things, but
there's a good documentary that TV show that they've started with that. Is it like Knuckle something? I can't remember the name exactly. But he's the guy that's trying to bring the bare knuckle box into the UK. Well, make it just as big as the UFC, I guess, and MMA. But do you think that could happen with bare knuckle?
It's kind of exciting, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at the Thai boxing now, they've gone back to just hand wraps, haven't they? I can't remember the name of it. So like even Sanchai,
sorry,
even Sanchai is now fighting with no gloves. He's fighting with just hand wraps.
Makes sense though, you know.
I genuinely believe that you shouldn't fight with gloves. UFC should get rid of 4-ounce gloves. I reckon they should get rid of judges.
Yeah.
I reckon if someone hasn't beat someone, then it's a draw.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I mean, what would then happen to people like Khabib, who has quite a few decisions on his record as well? Like,
well, to me, having a draw is not an awful thing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? The only reason why a draw is a bad thing at the moment is because if you win, you earn this much, and if you lose, you earn this much. Well, if you have a draw, you split it down the middle. Seems fair enough.
I guess there's rankings as well. If there's still rankings,
yeah,
that makes it harder.
Well, if you see a fight in the street and one guy's getting beat up for the first 10 minutes and then he ends up turning it over and starts winning again, who's winning the fight? Well, he won the fight, didn't he? You know, the old Pride rules were the best, where they had a first round which was ignored by the judges, and it was the final round that was scored, and it was whoever was winning in the final round.
Is that how they did it? I never knew that.
Yeah,
that's insane.
Yeah, so all the judges did was they basically looked at the end of the final round and they went, who's winning the end of the final round? We'll go with that. Do you know what I mean? And
the card system was good as well.
Yeah,
red and yellow cards.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that was good. Well, I mean, I loved Pride. Pride was, in lots of ways, Pride was better than the UFC. There was no rules about steroids. In fact, they actively said, please take them.
They put them in your cereal and your.
And people go, oh, they had the most ridiculous fights where they had Hang Moi Choi, who's 6'9", v someone who's
6'9" at least, I think.
Yeah, versus
Fenrir.
Yeah, and then they had just ridiculous fights, didn't they?
Yeah.
But that's what people wanted to see. Do you know what I mean? It's not about yeah, I don't know. It just gets a bit too pretty these days.
I wonder why it's not taken up so much. You know, there's not an uptick in MMA in Japan and a lot of Asia as well just now. Like I think India, there's a sort of a quite a huge following for it just now, but I think after the UFC bought Pride, there was just nothing really in Japan.
Well, they've got Dream and stuff, but it's
Doesn't
kind of
feel the same,
it's
no.
not anywhere near the same. I think the thing with Pride was that it was run by the gangsters over there, and they just had money to throw at it. If you hear the stories about people walking home with a holdall with like 50 grand in it,
Yeah.
you know, Baz Rutten talks about trying to get through customs when the guy asks him, "Have you got any money on you?" and he's like, "No," and he's actually got a holdall with like 50 grand that he's got to try and walk through, because the Yakuza would just go, "Here's a bag of money," and he'd go, "Oh right, okay." So yeah, I think it's just lost its. There's a load of grappling in Japan, and the grapplers over there are brilliant. Yeah, they really are.
They've always had a great grappling base, and wrestling as well.
Wrestling, yeah. They took a lot of the catch wrestlers over there in the like 70s and 80s, and the pro wrestling scene is actually really good. We don't see it, but it's
said no one ever.
Well, it's more realistic than the WWE. So I mean, everyone gets their own thing out of everything, don't they? I think Japan likes things that are over the top, don't they? Because they have such a squashed society.
Yeah.
That they have, when they see something, they want it to be
bigger and better,
and shinier and stuff. So.
I'm surprised at the number of people that I know that are in MMA that love WWE as well. It's crazy. Like Chris, the Bungard, who was on a few podcasts ago, he loves it. Like he participated with Paul Craig in Glasgow in one of the big shows as well, which is crazy. I think he was hanging out with Grado. Do you know Grado?
Yeah, Grado. Yeah. No, I'm sure it's a really good laugh. Do you know what I mean? It's got to be a good laugh, hasn't it? Do you know what I mean?
It's probably like a stress release when you've been training in MMA for so long, and then you just do something that's kind of maybe equally as like physical, but not as sort of stressful, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's more fun, I guess.
Well, that's what lots of my family did. They did the wrestling circuits, so they would go to shows, put on a show, and then afterwards would actually have fights.
Right.
So yeah, I'm sure it's really, really good fun. Everyone that I've known that's ever done it has really, really enjoyed it. So Ronda Rousey's doing it, right?
I know, that's crazy. She's like, was it Ronda Rowdy Rosa?
Ronda Rowdy Rousey.
That's it.
Yeah,
I don't even know how that came about. Obviously, it's to do with Rowdy Piper, I think.
Yeah,
so she must be.
I think she's taking on his mantle, isn't she?
Oh, okay. Well, hope not.
But she's already earning ridiculous amounts of money. Do you know what I mean? So
she said something on Instagram. She made a post, and she said, "I'm so surprised at how welcomed I've been. Like I thought it would be that hard business to sort of crack, but when you're that much of a megastar like Ronda, you're going to be like that. You know, you're going to be welcomed because you're going to bring in a lot of money for the WWE.
Definitely, yeah.
If this was someone who was maybe at the bottom tier of MMA, there wouldn't be so much of a welcome. You know, there'd be a lot of hard knocks to try and make your way in that scene.
Well, she's gone right in at the top, hasn't she?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
So obviously it's going to be a smooth transition.
Definitely, and I don't think it's any lighter on your body. Do you know what I mean? I think it's still hard. But I suppose she's done so many years of judo that she's used to being thrown on her head.
And she knows how to fall. You know, that's a big thing with judo is break falling.
Although, did you see her armbar finish?
Oh.
I'm sat there watching an Olympic judo specialist do this horrible thing going, oh my god.
Yeah, if you've done years of training, it looked stupidly awkward. And just the screams, like, it was weird. Like, what's going on? Is there a freak accident happening where this is actually going to have an effect?
Yeah.
But I guess you can't do that when you're in, you know, you got to be safe, I guess.
Yeah. My partner Eva, she's been training for about 4.5 years now. And it's really funny because we watch films together and action films and stuff like that. And it's just so funny because that's bullshit. You'd never do that. Why is he doing that? That wouldn't hurt. Why would he fly up? And I'm going, yeah, you understand fighting now.
The worst for it is these old sort of karate kung fu movies.
Oh, yeah.
You're just like, this is not how people fight.
No.
Like, it's so weird to
When,
watch.
it's when you've got a group of 20 guys and they come at him one at once. That's my favourite bit.
Or they're all like messing
Yeah.
around on the floor when they've been hit, and then
Yeah.
they come back individually. Like, and it's like, that just...
Well, there's a brilliant moment. Have you ever seen Morons from Outer Space?
No.
It's
Griff
Rhys-Jones.
Oh, okay.
It's a really old film. But one of my favourite things is they escape from a prison,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a prison guard stood outside. So Griff Rhys-Jones gets a bottle and smashes it on his head to knock him out, and it goes donk, and this security guard goes, "Ah, what are you doing?" So he hits him again. He goes, "Ah, stop it!" And I'm like, "That's real. That's what would happen." Do you know what I mean? I love that. Do you know what I mean? So.
And there's always like the science behind actually being knocked out for so long as well. Like,
Yeah.
that'd be terrible for you. You always see these movies where they're out for hours.
Yeah.
Even being out for 10 minutes is probably going to be detrimental to your health.
Not good at all. It makes me giggle at times, but I think we're seeing changes, aren't we? Because if you look at something like John Wick, you actually see the fighting in John Wick. You can actually see the Carly that's involved, and you can see the judo. There's some beautiful judo in there.
There's legit sort of moves in
Yeah.
there, but I think it has to, I think it has to move with the times, or people are just not going to believe in it. There was a sort of thing happening in movies when Call of Duty started to come out. Kids knew what guns could do and at what distances.
Yeah.
So when they watch movies for like a guy shooting someone with a shotgun from the other side of the street, kids know
that's not the
that
case.
won't happen because they played these games for hours and hours and hours. So
I didn't know
they
that.
had to be more realistic with their sort of the warfare in these movies as well.
I didn't know that.
Because,
Yeah, I suppose if you're used to using weapons even in a game, you've got some idea of what they do.
the biggest one was always the shotgun from like 300 yards away. And people are like, this just wouldn't happen.
Yeah, you might be picking one of 2 bits of lead out your bum.
At worst.
Yeah, do that for. No, it is getting a bit more realistic. I love stuff like the Raid and the Raid 2, where you actually see people who've got skills. Do you know what I mean? Tony Jaa, even though he's a bit of an acrobat and stuff, you actually see there's actually Thai boxing.
Did he
built into
do
that.
Thai boxing, or is he just...
I don't know if he competed, to be honest, but he's very, very good to watch. It's very exciting.
Well, Ong Bak was like,
Ong Bak's brilliant.
it's just amazing. Like that scene where he does that sort of over the top knee over like his shoulder and then hits the guy across there. I was like, how is that even possible for someone to do that?
Yeah, there's some incredible people. I mean, I still love watching Jackie Chan movies.
Yeah.
They're just fantastic. I mean, that's the skill set that guy's got.
Police 1 and Police 2.
Yeah.
Those are amazing movies.
And what he put himself through.
Yeah.
Just absolutely bonkers.
I was more of a Jet Li fan.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know why. I think it was all the wire work.
Right.
And it was sort of like precursors to the stuff that they would go on to do in like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Oh, those are beautiful movies to
Yeah.
watch, aren't they? Even, I mean,
For me, like that was like what got me into that style was those Jet Li movies, and then when I watched something like that, I was like, this is just like art on screen, with Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Was it the Green Arrows, Thousand Arrows, something like that?
yeah, there's quite a few of them out now, isn't there? But yeah, they're absolutely great cinematography as well, aren't they? So,
but where does all that come from? Because obviously it's not true.
I don't know. It's like when he's running over bamboo and stuff like that. I think it's the kudos of the ninja or the samurai, isn't it?
Right.
And I read a lot of history in Japanese history, and the samurai weren't very nice people.
No.
And ninjas were, they were just assassins. They did, yeah, they did. But there's the evidence of them, but they're not super people. Do you know what I mean? I think
You always laugh when you hear someone's done ninjutsu, and you're just like,
yeah,
no one has known what ninjutsu is for like 400 years.
Yeah, it's just well, I get that with most martial arts. I mean, if you
you're sorry to interject, but you must have seen a lot of stuff because you're on the desk at the MMA club sometimes, and obviously you're the first interaction when someone comes in and they're new.
Yeah,
and you always get these people who are just crazy, and you always come back with stories like, yeah, he said this, that, the next thing. And
yeah, we did have a young man called Dimitri who came in, and he was trying to use pressure points and
what?
Yeah, He's like, I have learnt pressure points, and am I allowed to apply them in the gym? And I was like, I think so, yeah. And he's like, I don't want to hurt anybody. I'm like, all right, you're gonna last a really long time. So he was like, as he's in your guard, he was like putting his thumb in your neck and stuff, and he's like, is this not hurting? And I'm like, no. And they was trying.
It's annoying. All
these kind of wrist locks, and you kind of just sit there and you go, oh, bless him. And it feels awful that you're taking the piss in a way, but I've learnt loads off people that you would not expect to. I went to a 3-hour Aikido seminar by an 8th Dan Hanshi. She was 84.
Right.
And people were like, why are you doing that? And I was like, well, she's been doing this for 60 odd years. She was from Amsterdam, and she taught one technique that was useful in the whole thing, where when someone grabs your wrist, to release the wrist.
Right.
And I was like, this is amazing, because all she did was, when someone grabs your wrist, you just straighten their arm.
Yeah.
And it's almost impossible to hold with a straight arm because you have no movement in your elbow.
Okay.
And that tiny little detail was worth the 3 hours of bullshit. Do you know what I mean? So I think with some of these martial art forms, as long as you can find that one bit of gold dust in it. Yeah, I mean, like we went to, when I was younger, I went to every single seminar I could about anything. I mean, my first Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu seminar. Can you imagine being like a 19-year-old kid and someone says, let's go to a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? I'm like, Brazilian? You mean Japanese? No, Brazilian. Oh, okay, we'll go. And that was an eye-opener, because at the end of it, Carlos Gracie turns around and goes, right, we're going to have a fight.
Wow.
And all the traditional jiu-jitsu guys are going, pardon? Right, we're going to have a fight.
Yeah.
And I think the concept of fight and roll to them were different.
Yeah.
He was meaning roll.
Yeah.
But
it's
like,
the same thing.
Yeah, but we're going to have a fight. And you could see these people who are used to putting these moves on compliant subjects.
It's funny how that was the base one was Japanese jiu-jitsu, and then the one that evolved from that was when it went to Brazil, and then that was what everyone uses now. I wonder why that it didn't translate well for the Japanese jiu-jitsu.
Well, I think with the Japanese jiu-jitsu, it was such a disciplined form. Like, I did Kenpo jiu-jitsu.
Was that with the sword?
No, it had sword in it, but I went for the unarmed kind of stuff, and within that, the techniques were really good, and you did spar, but it never really felt like you were sparring. It was kind of touchy pointy.
Yeah.
You know, you did the moves and stuff, and that was what we accepted was how you did it. You know, you didn't take it any further. And I think what happened with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is you actually got to a point where they were testing the theory. Yeah. You know, we were actually
Constantly.
going to do this. And if you went to Japan and were in the wrestling houses in Japan, you were wrestling, you were submission grappling.
Yeah.
And also, all around the world, there's places where you were wrestling, you were grappling, and you were actually fighting. I mean, pancrase and all these things that turned up in Japan. I mean, MMA has been around for ages. You got Muhammad Ali when he fought the crazy wrestler from Japan in the 50s.
Anaki, was it
50s or 60s?
Shinya,
no, I can't remember his name.
the Japanese guy.
Yeah.
It's Shinya, not Shinya, but I think it was it was later on. It was in colour.
Because I've seen the fight, and the guy just basically lies on the ground and kicks him in the legs. Yeah. But
that was the guy who then slapped Machida across the chest to say that he'd become a man now after one of his fights, and it was so dramatic.
But I think people lose sight that the UFC wasn't the start of MMA. MMA had been around for years and years and years. It was just that was when it first came into the public forum. Do you know what I mean?
Antonio Inoki,
that's the one. Mad as a brush.
He must have been on some stuff, because
he looks
huge.
He's a massive guy. Like,
he's probably just on growth hormone, and that was it. The size of his head.
I think he's just a big guy.
No, come on, Japan.
Yeah, they'd have been on all sorts of stuff. Yeah, he's massive, isn't he?
As he's gotten older, all his features have went to the centre of his head, because all his bones have gotten bigger. See it?
He's looking healthy though. Good lad.
Well, so do most people when they're.
So I think Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu has come to the fore because it's been a high media profile. Yeah. I mean, one of the things that Josh Barnett says is, if Joe Rogan had been a catch wrestler, would Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu be as big as it is? Because if you remember Pride, right? Yeah. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu came in and it won the first 4 UFCs. And then the Gracies went over to Pride where there was loads more money.
Yeah.
Who beat 7 of them?
Antonio
Kazushi Sakuraba.
Oh, right, okay. Oh, yeah, the Japanese.
Yeah, and the little catch wrestler. Do you know what I mean? So, what was better for MMA? What do we say? Do you know what I mean? He went in and fought them under their own rules and beat 7 of them. And by the time he got older and he got beat by Royce Gracie, he was physically wrecked. Yeah. So, for me...
Maybe that was the long game for Brazilian.
Yeah, the really long game. After an hour and a half initial fight. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah.
It's just crazy, yeah. It's like 20 minutes of him holding on to a Kimura with his head stuck out the ropes like that. Yeah, but I think with MMA we get a true form.
Yeah.
And I don't know, with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and catch wrestling and judo and grappling and all these different there's loads of different grappling arts. It's just that I think Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is in the eyes of the people more than anything else. And it's wonderful. I love it. I mean, absolutely fantastic watching.
I think it's the one that's had to evolve or has evolved the most, because
definitely
it's the one that doesn't sort of take its toll on your body as much, whereas MMA obviously does, because you're actually fighting. You can practice BJJ or no-gi full clip and not harm yourself or anyone, you know.
Yeah.
Because it's down to the person tapping. It's not up to you. Well, you can stop if you want, obviously.
Yeah.
And so I think the evolution process has just happened so quickly because it can. You know, MMA, we're still testing the ground, because you might get hurt trying to do this, or you might hurt somebody doing something, you know, illegal or whatever.
Well, the training's the highest bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, getting through an 8-week training camp for me is the hardest bit of everything, really, because you are put through fire. So yeah, I completely agree. And the great thing with the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is that you can go in and you can play one game on a Tuesday, and then on a Friday you play another game. So I can be a lazy, like on Tuesday I was just a lazy git. I just rolled around on my back and didn't do very much, just defended and kept people away. Yeah. And then last night I was like, right, tonight's top control night. So everything was about getting sweeps to top control. So you can play your own game as well. I mean, I don't call it Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu because I'm not a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu qualified in any way. But it's just no-gi to me. It's wrestling, really. Do you know what I mean? So
I'd prefer to call it no-gi or grappling, you know.
Yeah, it's just grappling. A lot of people come in and want to know if it's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I had some guy come in and go like you know, what qualifications have you got in BJJ? And I was like, I've got 2 blue belts. He's like, what? I've got 2 blue belts.
Does that add up to like a purple?
I don't know what it adds up to. He's like, he said, well, 2 people gave me a blue belt, but I didn't really take them. Yeah. And you could see the shock on his face. Like, is that not important to you? And I'm like, not really. No. So I love Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I love grappling. Grappling is just one of the best things ever. Yeah. Had a really good night last night. So yeah.
And it's definitely, I think you yourself, like your evolution's tied into the evolving sport of it as well. Like I think when you first started, you were sort of this dreadlocked sort of person who only thought of himself as a wrestler, and then you've sort of evolved over the years. And you're
I've got a guard game now. I had to develop a guard game because I kept getting injured. Because if you're a really strong top pressure passer,
who's that? Is that you?
That used to be me. Now I've gone completely in the other direction. I'm really kind of relaxed and try and, I don't know. I think a lot of it is as you get older, you just realise that you can't be the driver anymore. So now I let people play and work around them. While before it was all about, I am going to do this to you. Yeah. And I think that's the difference mentalities between a wrestler and a BJJ guy as well. A wrestler is about kill normally. Yeah. And then you've got your BJJ guys who are setting up tricks and setting up moves and getting you to go into a position so that you can attack them. Like, so a lot of my submissions now are hitting transition. So I'll let people go through a move in order to catch catching like you did an arm drag on me, which allowed me to pass your guard. I was waiting for you to arm drag me, and with Ollie.
Oh, I know.
with Ollie, when I was rolling with him the other night, I set up a Kimura so I could pass his guard.
Wait a minute, he didn't just go straight to.
We're not allowed to. By the way, we're not allowed to call him fat. He said, "Please don't call me fat on the podcast."
Okay, so this fat Greek guy.
You're not fat, Ollie. You're looking lovely at the moment.
If he's not down to like 1 meter abs, I don't care.
Well, he's competing in a couple of weeks.
All right, because he didn't compete in the last one, but he did have a concussion, I guess. Is that?
Yeah. But there's a invitation only grappling on the 21st, and he's fighting someone there. We have
you got a couple of
Suave Marga, and then the weekend after that we've got Greta who's competing in full fascia. So the grappling team's going pretty well.
Yeah, it does seem to sort of taken off as well.
Yeah, I'm really pleased with the people are getting so good.
Yeah, that was the thing I noticed when I came back after being away for a few years. It was just the level, everyone's sort of base level had come up really a lot, you know.
Yeah, I mean, like last night I did half an hour rolling, and by the end of it I couldn't breathe. There wasn't. No. Do you know when there used to be an easy roll? Yeah. Someone would come along and you'd go, "It's gonna be an easy roll." Yeah. Oh God. But they're getting so good now that there is no easy roll, and I have to watch my Qs and Ts all the time. You know, I can't leave anything out there because they just leap on it, and it's just horrible. So
it's good though, because if you bring the club to that sort of level, then that means that the evolution of that club's going to just take off. I think that was always sort of missing, is like the general level of everyone and the interest as well. I guess like I think you've brought that maybe now to the club as like a sort of. It's a thing now, you know.
Well, I think the thing that's made available to me now is when I was partially running the club, there was all the stuff on the side that needed doing. Yeah. So you didn't really have the time to invest in what you. Now I can actually see direction, and working with individuals who have got some great skills. My partner's brilliant. Yeah. I mean, she's really talented, and I'm not saying that because she is my partner. I'm actually saying that because she's really talented. We have Greta, who's really, really good. Ollie's okay.
He's fat,
but we have a number of new up and comers. James Smith. I've never met anyone who learns quicker than him. Yeah, and athletic. Yeah. Oh my God, he spent about half an hour spinning around my head on Friday night. But yeah,
is that because you let him?
No. He goes, "You did a lot of defending there, didn't you?" And I went, "Yeah."
It's just an old trick that older people.
It's I was just letting you work. I was trying to survive.
Tire yourself out.
Yeah, are you tired yet? Please stop. Yeah, so it's going well. And the grappling scene in Scotland is getting bigger and bigger. I mean, these invite shows, do you know what I mean? So you're getting.
I mean, when was that a thing in Scotland?
It's never been a thing.
Invitational only, you know.
And it's happening. It's getting good. And I'm hoping that the guys do really well. You know, it's just been really good. I got funky rash guards from Skin Tags. Yeah. They're
Skin
really
Tags,
cool.
Yeah. Brilliant t-shirt company, a rash guard company.
Yeah.
Bespoke as well.
Are they sponsors of yours?
I think so.
Yeah.
No, they're just fantastic.
Yeah, they are. They're really, really good. Yeah. So they made some rash guards for St Andrews Uni and made some for us. And their designer, brilliant.
I guess,
honestly, fantastic.
Uni guy they got probably.
Yeah, but no, it's. I think it's. Do you remember Martin Tyler?
Yeah,
he trained with us. Well, it's his wife.
Oh right, okay. I thought you meant like the uni one, like they made a design for.
No, she designed it. They sent her loads of stuff, and they're these fantastic rash guards. So yeah, I'm really pleased.
And your one's really good as well.
Yeah, mine's really cool.
I'm still waiting to get mine made up, obviously, because I'm sponsoring. But I just have to. Obviously, I'll get my logo, but I'll have to think of other things to get as well.
Yeah, well, Claire, I think she's Claire. I think she's really, really, really clever. And
that's cool.
She sent me loads of different versions, and the problem was I wanted all of them. I was like, they're all really good. Choose one. No!
So did I get 20 of each?
Yeah, 25 of each, yeah.
So, I'm just going to go to the...
Yeah.
Just seen on my news feed that Theresa May is obviously getting us involved in airstrikes in Syria.
It's actually very scary, isn't it?
I think I've not spoke to one person. Maybe that's because I have a sort of a group of friends that are leaning towards that. But no one I know has said that this is what they should do, drop bombs in Syria. It's crazy.
Well, there was a really interesting video put up by someone on Facebook, and it's Sky News interviewing someone, and the gentleman turns around and goes, "Well, actually, we've got no proof that anything chemical wise was done," and the woman shuts him down and turns him straight off. Says, "Oh, we have to move on. We have to move." And I'm like, "Is this for real?" Because Syria's winning. There's no. Do you know what I mean? It's not a.
Well, that's the narrative. Like, Russia is helping Syria to sort of combat, and then they're winning. So why then would you start bombing your own people?
I'm not really sure what's going on.
But he has done before. Like, he has been implicated in chemical attacks on his own people before. But this just seems very strange, you know. It's not. It's a multi sort of problematic, faceted, headed dragon that you can't just go in and bomb without having, you know, killing random people either.
Well, it's kind of scary. It's going to take us back to Cold War status of the 80s, isn't it? It's not going to be a fun situation to be in, because I think last time we were on, we've got two nutters in power. We've got Putin and you've got Trump. Yeah. Neither of them guys are going to back down. Do you know what I mean?
But, I mean, which one's scarier?
Well, I don't know. Some people tell me how much of an idiot Trump is. Putin's a very scary man. Yeah. Obviously, with his background and what he's done in his life. Trump, I have no idea.
It doesn't seem like he's reactionary, though. Trump seems like he sort of reacts to whatever's going on. And obviously Putin, it's like chess pieces for him, I guess.
When he says, well, you know, the missiles are all nice and shiny and ready to go. Like, yeah, what? That's a really clever thing to put. That's, well done.
And Theresa as well. This is just crazy that she's leading us into this.
I think she's trying to outdo Thatcher.
But, like, Thatcher, I've said this on the podcast before, and I think she sees herself as a Thatcher figure, but for all the heinous shit that Thatcher did to the people, you know, in the 70s and the whatever, she at least had what she would call a spine. And I feel Theresa May is completely spineless. She doesn't have any backbone.
I don't have any truck with politics anymore. I just kind of given up on it. I used to be really political when I was younger, to the point where I would go on rallies and do all that kind of stuff.
But this is like seems super important now. Like, this is going to definitely affect us. First, the you know, the Indie ref was a no to leave in, and now Brexit, and then this is happening. Like, Scotland seems to be having less and less say in the matter as well.
Oh, we haven't got any say in it, really, have we? Do you know what I mean? I mean, I think in the modern political sphere, how much does the actual person have? I think you get to a point where you just go, what is the point? Do you know? And people say, well, there's no active involvement of young people anymore, but they don't see any relevance anymore. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, representative democracy, does it really represent you? That person who is in the House of Commons for you, do they actually believe what you believe? It's very unlikely. And then the House of Commons and the House of Lords, you've got a House of Commons of people that were supposed to have voted in, that then make decisions, that then go to the House of Lords with a bunch of people that have got that by right and title. And if they don't like it, what they do is they send it back and say, you need to look at this again. What right have they got? So to me, it seems ridiculous now.
Wasn't it, I think it was Obama that a few years ago, when he wanted to have involvement in Syria, I think the people just voted
against it
outright. And why can't we have that? Like you're saying, it seems to be the decision is down to just a small percentage of people, and that's quite scary, you know.
Well, it's always been the way with representative democracy. I mean, we don't believe this anymore, but back in the 70s, when the death penalty was taken away, I think the last one was in '64 or something, and
in the UK,
and it was banned in the 70s or something, and they went to the people and they went, do you think the death penalty should be abolished? And it was 76% of the population wanted the death penalty. But what right then, if you're listening to the people, what right have you as a politician to turn around and go, well, you're silly children, we shouldn't have the death penalty. Now, it's changed now. It's 48% of the population believe that we should still have the death penalty now.
Really?
Yeah, so it's decreased.
What?
Yeah, but if you were listening to the voice of the people, which is what your job is as a politician, then really we should be putting in, in what people want. I think that the difficulty we have now is that we couldn't have non-representative democracy because we have this way of getting social groups together that become very powerful.
Well, the internet is like a place that should be where you should use your vote.
But the problem with that is you can get these very vocal small groups that would then control things. Do you know what I mean? So like if you got a bunch of white supremacists, you would only need to have so many members of them that actually vote and care, and so many other people who think it doesn't matter, I'm not going to vote on that one, and
it's kind of similar
change everything.
To when Bill Nye debated Ken Ham, the creationist, and they did it live, and essentially Bill Nye said, you're giving something that represents maybe like 2% of the population, well less obviously because there's more people in, but like in the actual people who believe in it, 2% a 50-50 sort of stance on this podium to make it look like there is an actual argument when there really isn't.
No.
But if you give them that podium, then it makes it seem like
it's more important than it is.
Yeah.
I mean they said that with when they did the political standings before, and they brought up what's he called, the guy that was, is it BNP?
Oh yeah.
Why is he even on the stage? He represents 0. so many % of the population. Why has he got a right to even be there? Do you know what I mean? So I don't know. It's politics for me is incredibly difficult. It's massively incumbent on what we do, but what I try and do now is just stay away from it. I'm a neo-anarchist in my own mindset. I think there are rules which are common sense that we should follow.
Neo-anarchist, I've never heard that before.
Well, it's just the idea that there are some rules which are complete common sense. So like if you're taking your 4-year-old daughter across the road and she runs into the road and you grab her and pull her back, it's complete common sense to follow that rule. But then when they turn around and go, you need to pay tax for this, and you go, why? And well, we can't do anything if you don't pay tax for that. But well, what I want then is I want a breakdown of where my money's being spent. I want you to show me. In fact, it'd be really nice if I could choose to put that into hospitals and I could put that into schools and I could. So I think we don't have the right to sit and question some of the rules that are put in place. And if they're common sense, fair enough, I'll go buy them. I don't mind paying tax. In fact, I'd pay more tax. But
I mean, I think Scotland had a chance to, if we got independence. I mean, I'm not stupid. I'm not patriotic in any way. I think patriotism and nationalism stupid. You know, it leads to a lot of bullshit. But I think for the better of the people that are in Scotland, they could have decided to leave the UK, and we could have joined the sort of Nordic countries and the way they run as well. They pay a higher percentage of tax, but they get a quality of care that's second to none in the world.
And if you look at the Nordic countries for education and stuff, it's just incredible. I mean, the primary school setups and stuff over there are just fantastic.
They were saying about charging homeless people £100 for staying rough in towns to get rid of them.
Well, where are they going to go?
A country, you can tell exactly how a country is by how they treat their sort of people in need and who's mostly in need, the homeless, and you're charging them £100 so they get off this place and not be an eyesore. Iceland don't have homelessness. They see it. I mean, it's a smaller country, but so is the UK, and they're like, I don't get why you let people just live on the street. Like, is there nothing you can do?
Well, I think there's a lot of blame that's placed on these people, when in reality they're the people that need the most help. They've got mental health issues, or they're going through drug and addiction, or they might have just had a really bad life. The way they've been treated, the way they. I mean, if you get a lot of runaways in London, and they're running away from hell.
And when they see them, they stereotype them to sort of make themselves feel better that they're just druggies, and if you give them money, they're just going to take that to get drugs.
More drugs. Of
course that's what's going to happen, because these people are at the lowest ebb,
Well, any narcotic makes you feel better, doesn't it? I think what people do is they turn around and they look at someone who's a junkie and they go, "You're a terrible person because you're taking illegal narcotics," and then they'll go out and have 9 pints.
Yeah, and then a couple of lines of coke.
Yeah, but that's fine. That's okay. And you kind of like sit there and you go, well, if you're having to take this level of narcotic all the time, is your life really good? Because you're stopping the suffering that you've... Like, I work in a school where teachers are stressed and they have a difficult time, and they'll go home and they'll have a bottle of wine.
Yeah.
And why are they having that bottle of wine? They're having that bottle of wine to relax themselves, to make themselves feel better in preparation for the job that they've got to do tomorrow, which is going to be stressful and horrible again. So anyone using narcotics, they're just taking away their suffering.
Yeah.
So I find it really difficult if you're using any kind of substance that's making you feel better. Then you need to really address what is the thing that's causing you to feel that way.
Of course, yeah. There's always something underlying that's doing that. It's not. It's not that you're just making yourself feel better. It's you're doing it because of something.
And I'm not targeting the infrequent user. I mean, I've not drunk for a long time, but if I went out and I got into the situation where it was a glass of wine to cheer someone for a wedding or something, I wouldn't mind having a sip of champagne or whatever. But yeah, I think a lot of...
I thought you'd be more a Lambrini guy.
A Lambrini guy, as long as it's chilled. Yeah.
I thought you were going to say cherry.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I find it difficult when people make these judgments on people and yet they're doing a very, very similar thing. I mean, I do it with exercise. Yeah. When I get into the gym, my day is an entirely different day because I just switch off from what reality is. And the only reality is in being in there and doing that thing. And then when I go home, you go back into where you were. I mean, you must have found it when you had a fight camp. What do you think about when you're in fight camp?
Just fighting.
Yeah.
And training and getting better.
Does the mortgage matter?
No.
Does the gas bill matter?
No.
Nothing matters. The only thing that matters is I've got to get really good, otherwise I'm going to die.
I'm going to get my face mashed in.
Yeah. So I think...
in front of everyone.
I think anything that takes us away from the reality of life... You kind of have to address what that is. And these people on the streets, I mean, I get really frustrated when people are horrible to them. And, you know, if there's a junkie, there's an underlying reason why you're a junkie. Yeah. And the only problem with heroin, I lost my best friend to heroin. The only problem I find with heroin is it's so difficult to get away from. It's an incredible drug. It's an incredible drug. The way it makes you feel is incredible. And
people
if you
say
get
it's
used
not
to
you
it,
die from heroin; it's the addiction that you die from.
Yeah, I think it's that what I saw someone who lived for that moment in taking the stuff, and the rest of his life wasn't real. Yeah. So he didn't eat properly. He didn't live anywhere that was decent. He didn't keep up with his friends. He just went into this world where everything was about the next heroin hit. And it was really a really sad thing because when we were at school, he was like the best looking boy in the year. He was going to be in the army. Wow. He was just amazing skateboarder. Right. Like, honestly, he was a brilliant person. And then over the course of 2 years, ended up, going downhill and disappearing.
It's just, it can happen to anyone. You think it's just a lifestyle choice, but I think it is something, you can be addicted to anything. I think we've all got that sort of possibility in us and that potential.
I think we are all addicted to something.
Yeah. I think
there's something that
you have to be.
I think is it an addiction, or is it a generation of getting to a life goal, or is it experience led?
I think we're all creatures of repetition, and I think there's always something in everyone's life that they fundamentally do every day, whether it's coffee. And I think it acts as like a base, a coffee, or washing your hands, or, do you drink coffee every day? Mm-hmm. I drink it every single day.
Yeah. My father was a great believer in that because he was a smoker, smoking 50 a day at one point.
Wow.
And he just
50 cigarettes a day.
He just sat down at the table one night and he went, "I'm going to give up smoking tomorrow." And my mum was like, "Yeah, whatever." I go, "No, I'm going to give up smoking tomorrow." And what he said is it was just a habit. He said what would happen at work is the phone would ring. And as the phone would ring, he went to his packet of cigarettes, he'd take a cigarette out, light it, and have a cigarette while he was on the phone.
Right.
Or when he got in the car, the first thing he'd do would light up. And he said it was just it's a habit. He says, and as long as I know it's a habit, And he literally went like that, and from one day, 50 to the next day.
That's crazy.
Nothing. Do you know what I mean? Liked his alcohol though.
Doesn't most people?
Yeah.
I think that is true though, that giving up anything, it's just about changing your habits. Like if you notice that you do a certain pattern like that, just change it up. Don't fall into that pattern until you get out of it. I think one for people who smoke, the biggest problem they have is when they go out and drink, because that's when, you know, they're like, oh, I'll just have a cigarette, doesn't matter. Like I've been like prone to this when I was younger as well, and it's just about challenging yourself and giving yourself little goals even when you're out, just to be like, well, I'll get through this drink with not asking
for a fact,
not asking anyone for a cigarette. And that's just how it works, you know. People just don't have a plan when they go out to say in their mind that they're not going to say yes to anything like that. It's just the way it is. You have to plan for these things.
I've always been pretty good because my willpower is really strong, so if I decide not to do something, I don't know, there's a demon inside me that says I'm not, you know, I'd rather die. So like with the drinking thing, I'm not going to drink. And like people will get really annoyed about it, like, you know.
I don't think I've ever seen you having a drink.
You've seen me very drunk once.
What?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
I think we all went out as a big gang of people and got really.
Was it one of the nights out, the Christmas nights out?
Yeah, I think we got completely obliterated. It was when there was 15 police vans turned up outside the underground as we came out because Paul Wiseman had just suplexed Scott into the floor, armbarred him, and Scott had bitten the back of his leg. And supposedly.
Yes.
Yeah, it was. They always ended up that kind of way, didn't they?
It always ended up at the strip bar as well. Like,
it always started at the strip bar
and ended.
Yeah, one of my favourite moments at the strip bar in Dundee. God bless you, ladies who work there, but oh my God,
there's some
hard-nosed women in there.
There's like some women who are from the Eastern Bloc type hard. You know, they've all got those sort of hard-looking faces.
They're quite scary.
Yeah.
So I mean, last time I went in, and it was the last time I went in with a group of fighters. Craig wants to go to the strip bar. That's what he wants to do. Yeah. So I went to the strip bar. So the first thing I do is walk up to the bar, and the girl who's serving behind the bar is the girl that works in reception at school. So I'm like, "Oh, hello, Amy. It's really nice to see you." And she's like, "Oh, right, you come here, do you?" I'm like,
pervert.
Yeah, pervert. And that was the instant thing. Was like, back off. I thought you were really nice, man. And I'm like, okay, right, you hate me, I get it. And Kieran was about 18 at the time. He'd got his fake ID and the full bag of tricks, and I got him his first lap dance. So I paid this girl to take him into the room.
That happened to me as well. I'd never had a lap dance at that point. Someone paid for out the group.
And then Kieran went into this room and he came out, and it was just this moment where he leant against the bar with his elbow and he was drinking his Budweiser, and it was like, I've become a man. I was like, did you enjoy that? And he's like, strangely, yes.
I find those places surreal. Like, they're definitely not for me. I got speaking to one of the dancers. I think they call themselves dancers. You're not allowed to say stripper anymore.
Yeah, they're not strippers, no.
And
exotic dancers.
And one of the sort of reasons that I thought I'd be good at doing this sort of thing was I always get drunk and I end up getting in deep conversations with people. And one of them was with the stripper, you know, and entertainment dancer, and eventually got like in real deep talking about all sorts. And then she said, "Okay, do you want to come for a dance then?" And I was like.
Back to reality.
Oh, this is why I'm here. And I was like, no, thank you. She just looked at me.
So she's been desperately trying to get you to come for a 20 quid dance, and you've been chatting her feet off.
Well, you guys all chipped in for a lap dance for me once in there. I
can't remember. We've been to so many strip clubs around the country, honestly.
I've never had one, and I was just laughing all the way through it.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
It's surreal, isn't it?
It's very like, okay, I don't get this.
Yeah, it's not my... when we went out to Las Vegas, that was different because
the strippers are
it was scary how but when you go out here, it's just absolutely. I remember going to the strip club in Liverpool, and it was just like, oh my God, it was one of the most horrendous experiences of my life. And Wisey spent about £7,000 on this one girl. He just kept going like that with money. And she must have been knackered. Do you know what I mean? We were all sat at watches going, Wisey, come on, we want to go to bed. So, it's a bizarre thing. One of my favourite ones, we went out in Edinburgh and it was her 21st birthday, so everyone got together and bought this lesbian show.
Okay.
So these girls are doing this lesbian act on the floor and stuff. So they eventually get Callum up and they bend him over and take the belt and whip his ass. So they drop his trousers and whip. And this woman was obviously having an awful day because she really took it out on him.
Shit.
Yeah, and he actually turned around and went, "If you do that again, I'm going to punch you." And we're like, "All right." And then security piles in. But it was, you could just tell she'd had a really tough day and someone had been really horrible to her. It was quite good.
Well, that's the thing, if you're in that sort of area of expertise, you can just take it out on someone.
And I always feel really awkward. So the girl that was dancing with me, I noticed she had a tattoo on her back.
Was it her lower back by any chance?
It was kind of in the corner of her back. And I went, "It's really funny that you've got a tattoo of a lobster." And she went, "No, it's a scorpion." I'm like, "All right, okay." And you know.
Was she a Scorpio?
She was a Scorpio, yeah.
That's why
Scorpio
she was
horoscopes. Yeah, she was fiery. Yeah.
You're lucky she didn't punch you for that.
She was very scary. I know that much.
Scary Scorpio.
Scary Scorpio, yeah. But yeah, the strip club thing, it's not my scene.
I mean, we know people that want to frequent it every time we have a night out, you know, for the
we let him do it just for the sake of it. I mean, going out with Billy is brilliant because he's looking for the fattest one in the room. It's absolutely brilliant. He'll walk in the room and he'll go, "Right, where's the fatty?" And you're like, "Oh God." That's what he likes. So, yeah, it's an interesting kind of male machismo thing that I don't really get.
Is that something that you've had to, when you talk about things, when you're doing your day job, is that something you have to sort of keep separate from the...
Very much so, yeah. I can't...
Because you work with schools, is it?
Yeah, I work with support for learning. It's working with kids that have got real issues in being able to access schools and get there and do stuff.
Yeah.
It's become more of an issue recently because I think, like last time we talked about the fact that if you put something on Facebook, then it can be interpreted however you want to interpret stuff. So yeah, I've had a few run-ins with just like you would make a statement which is about your day, you know, and the way that's interpreted sometimes can be completely
blown out of proportion.
And it's nothing negative, but people can read stuff into it. So yeah, you got to be really, really careful. And I mean, no one knew what I did as in MMA until maybe 4 or 5 years ago at the school, and then it got out.
Yeah.
But up to that point, I'd been there for 15 years.
It seems like you keep it very much separate because I never knew what you did until like years after meeting you. You know.
Well, they're two separate lives, aren't they? I mean, when I'm a teacher, I'm a very different. I think you play roles, don't you? So a role as a teacher is a very different role as a.
MMA,
well, I don't know if it's an MMA. I think it's the real you, isn't it? You know, you have to pretend to be this person for 8 hours. And teaching is that you go in there and you are doing 5 shows a day. Do you know what I mean? I love it. I love it. It's brilliant. I would recommend it to anybody. It is great fun, and you feel like you're helping.
You hear babies crying.
Seagulls, isn't it?
I think my mic's picking up something from downstairs, which is
okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is not anything to do with me.
We don't have a baby crying in here. I promise. I promise. Yeah.
But did you started off as a biology teacher? Is that what?
Yep, biology teacher for many years as a marine biologist, and then went into support for learning. Yeah, I'm kind of at a bit of a crossroads at the moment. I've just written my first book, which is being published in 2 weeks' time.
Anything to do with Silica Life, or is it just
no? I've given up. I've given up on Silica Life. The guy that I upset with Silica Life, the main guy that I upset with Silica Life, that I went after, his dad, who I respect, actually sent me a message and went, "Can you just please leave him alone?"
Really?
Yeah. Oh, and I do respect his dad, so.
The last time you were on, you were talking about how you had like cease and desist letters.
Yeah, that was kind of fun. That kind of made my day, and I was really going for it. But
for anyone that doesn't know and has not listened to the last episode, essentially, Fen has his own company called Silica Life. Silica Life. Sorry.
Yeah, we make a wonderful supplement that's made out of sand that you can use again. No, it was just an attack on some of these diet companies that make promises that they are absolute complete baloney. Just made a lot of stupid little videos and got cease and desist letters from certain big companies beginning with H. It was fun, but it's
H-Life.
Yeah, it was fun, but I've kind of my partner turned around and went, "Why are you investing this much time into this?" I went, "Because it's fun," and she went, "Yeah, but you could be investing your time into something that's going to actually achieve something instead of just looking like a dick."
Yeah, that's fair enough.
And I was like, "Okay, so."
I mean, it was funny, but yeah.
Well, to me, I just like being a dick when I can be a dick. If I can aim it at someone, that's even better.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've kind of given up on that. I'm just focusing more on getting the grappling team good and
your YouTube channel as well. That's something you've been focusing on.
Yeah, but YouTube keep changing the bloody rules. It's a nightmare.
They changed the goalposts on this.
Yeah, I was making money on that, and then suddenly, you're not allowed to make money unless you have 4,000 hours in a year.
Is that it?
Yeah, and you're like 4,000 hours in a year. And
how does anyone? Well,
the issue that I have is that my videos are 2 minutes long.
Yeah.
Because what I did was what I hate with these technique videos is you watch a technique video and it's someone spouting on for 20 minutes about their philosophy. Yeah. I don't do that. I just go, right, this is it. So yeah, it's a bit of a nightmare with the YouTube. But
they're good though. They're short clips and they're really sort of well structured as well. And
well, it's I've worked out I need 800 videos to get anywhere near the 4,000 hours mark. So I'm just going to keep piling them on, and I don't think it'll ever make me a lot of money, but it's different than anything that's out there because it's all the old techniques combined with the new techniques.
It's an outlet as well for you as well.
It's good fun, and people are saying, why are you showing the stuff that that you teach? And I'm like, why wouldn't I show the stuff? Do you know? It's
already online.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'm like, there's people that know this stuff, okay? And
you're not showing anything that's not been out there already.
Yeah, I'm not pretending I'm making up a system like 10th Planet or anything.
And it's how you show it as well. So then you're going to use a platform like YouTube to do that.
Yeah. I tried Patreon for a while, but what I found with Patreon is it's as soon as people have to pay for something,
they want
they want a lot more out of it.
I think that would be a harder platform for you to sort of do, because you have to focus a lot on it as well, and then do specific videos for people, I guess.
Yeah, and people wanted like personal training sessions over the internet and all that kind of stuff, and you kind of like
and naked and like oiled up.
I don't like to say. Do you know what I mean? It's all right, okay. If you want to pay, Darren, if you're asking, all right, I'll do it. Okay.
You have some guy in Russia just watching you wrestle someone.
Well, I've had some interesting messages, and I've had a lot of I got some photographs taken by a certain photographer.
Is this a notorious photographer?
Yeah, it's a notorious photographer, and I got voted. What was it? I got voted. I can't remember, profile of the year or something. And after that, the barrage of dick pics. Honestly.
Now you know what it's like to be a girl, I guess.
Yeah, that's not good. Be sat in a maths class or something like that. Get to the end of the maths class and you just go into your break, you check your phone, you go, whoa!
Series of dick pics. Yeah.
Yes, and what I do admire about that community is though they just go for it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's not, I want to take you for dinner. Yeah. I want to have a romantic evening with you. It's like,
aggressive, yeah.
On Saturday, are you free to fuck? No. I want dinner first, and hold hands.
Messages like on Instagram, or
what I do is I get ridiculous messages all the time, and I put them back up on Instagram. Yeah. Like I got some woman the other day sending me something about me being disrespectful to women and all this kind of stuff, and.
Well, you shouldn't have shown how to bitch slap on your YouTube channel.
Yeah,
I'm joking.
But like, it's just really weird, and you get these mental people. I mean, there's some guy messaged me, and he had his face tattooed black, and he'd had his, I don't know if he was wearing contacts or if he'd had his eyes tattooed red.
Okay,
and
that's quite a good look as well.
Yeah, he's like, I'm part of the ultimatum unit. And I want to make you part of the ultimatum unit, and we're going to be the final ultimatum. In the next 10 years, you will make £10 million if you join our ultimatum unit. Are you interested? And I just went, no.
It sounds like a cult.
Yeah. I'm like, the ultimatum
You'd
unit.
be like, do I have to have sex with anyone?
Yeah, well, I'm like, oh shit, you know. I've got loads of followers on Instagram. I don't really know how it happened, but
It sounds very final, the ultimatum.
yeah, it sounds like they're going to drink the Kool-Aid and pop off, really, doesn't it? But it was quite interesting. It was quite. I love it. There's loads of mad people out there. You just have to cultivate them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, the messages when you're doing these sorts of things is always strange. When I was in a band when I was younger, we had a song called 88, and we had a bunch of followers on MySpace at the time.
MySpace.
I know, this is like 10,000 followers.
Yeah.
This is like,
just imagine if you come out of prison after doing 15 years. Now you've got MySpace and no one's there.
we had 10,000 followers, which at that time
is amazing.
was a lot, because there was no Instagram or any other social media. It was basically me adding everyone or them adding us at the time. And I got a message from this Polish guy, and he was like, I hope your song 88 doesn't mean what I think it means. And this was my first introduction to this, and I was like, what do you mean? He was like, 88 in the Third Reich stands for Heil Hitler.
Does it?
Yeah, and he was like, oh, I'd be disappointed because I love your music, and I hope this is not what it stands for. And I was like, I had no idea.
No,
I was only like 17 at the time. I was like, yeah, we should probably
change that.
The lyrics were nothing to do with it, so it was fine.
Yeah. No, I think you just there's people that find fault in anything, though, aren't there? Do you know what I mean?
Like,
I mean,
message you about
the first message I got off YouTube was off a black lady in America, and she just ripped into me for being a white supremacist, blah 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 blah. Went on for ages, and honestly, it was about 15 paragraphs long.
Tattoos, the hair.
So I went, did you watch the video? And the video that she put it under was me doing a side control move on Graham. Okay. And I watched the video thinking at some point I must have got up and saluted or something. And I did nothing. And I went, did you watch the video? What is it that is causing you to think that I'm racist? And she just went, it's your name.
What?
And that was, so this rant that must have taken her
that's a lot of time of energy,
yeah, was just about my name. And she says, that's a racist name. And I'm like, okay. Right, what do I do about that then? Do you know what I mean? So,
in what respect? Why would it be racist?
I have no idea. Apparently, Fenrir Thorvaldsen must mean that I'm a white supremacist.
I guess it's maybe something to do
Nordic.
with the sort of Third Reich. Maybe, I don't know.
I don't know any Fenrirs apart from me.
I'm friends with one on Instagram. I mistakenly thought it was you, and I added him. It was weird. It got weird.
Yeah, there can't be many of them. I have a lot of Thorvaldsens now.
It's just Fenrir, but it's not Thorvaldsen.
Right.
I added him. I don't know, just thinking it was you initially, and then I still randomly. He's still on my friends, so because I can never find him when I want to get rid of him. And then occasionally I'll be just like, why is Fen posting like some weird stuff? And I'm going, it's not him.
Yeah, I do post some weird stuff though, so I quite enjoy posting weird stuff.
Relatively weird stuff.
Yeah. I suppose it depends on the level of weirdness, doesn't it?
And so what's your plan? Like, sorry, are you okay? Your legs seem to be...
Yeah, it's the coffee. Sorry. Because I have ADHD.
Yes, I thought so.
Yeah, being sat down for a long time is actually quite difficult for me. So yeah. But my plans, I've written a book and I'm halfway through another book. I'm going to keep working on the YouTube channel.
Do you want to give us any sort of inkling into what the book is and about?
Well, last time I was on, I talked about the fact that I've read about 16,000 self-help books.
Cool. Oh, you're going to make a mock self-help book?
No, it's not a mock one. What I did was I took... The book is called Life Had 99 Problems, but this book solves them.
Okay.
And basically what I did was I completely ripped apart all the bits that I'd read.
Yeah.
And then I looked at the 99 most useful bits out of it. And I constructed a book so that it's got that in it. So it covers everything from self-defense through to fitness, through to money-making businesses, through to... It's got basically loads of different things. It's very, very bite-sized. So there's 99 chapters. And
that just shows your ADHD right there. There's like 99 short chapters.
Yeah. Well, it take me about 3 hours to write a chapter.
Right.
And the next one is the kind of psychological side of stuff that I've done. So I've done loads of CBT and ABT and NLP and done all these different systems and worked with loads of fighters. And it's about building a kind of mentality where you're willing to go and fight. I think for me, even fighting at the lowest level is one of the most terrifying things you can do. So what I've done is I've constructed I'm building a book now which is actually looking at how people do that, because if you can do that, I think you can achieve anything. Do you know, one of the things that I see with a fighter is the fact that they can go and step in that cage, even if it's in a really crappy dive in Dalkeith. The fact that they can get in that cage, to me, is everything. I don't care if you win or lose. It's the fact that you walk through the door.
It seems pretty true. Like, there's been points in my life where I've been hesitant to do something, and then I've been in a cage and I got punched in the face and I lost. I can pretty much do anything, you know. You've experienced it,
and what I try and talk about is the fact that everything should be internally focused, building of coping skills. You know, with a fighter, you have to be. You know, we have to get away from any external focus. We have to go internal, and you have to have those coping strategies because we've all been losing. Do you know what I mean? And it's an awful experience. But how do you deal with that? And you're right in the fact that if you can do that thing, you can succeed anywhere. So it's going to be called The Athlete's Mind. And it's a combination of everything that I've learned from sports psychology. I went around for about 4 or 5 years and went to loads of lectures, read all the books, and then kind of applied it to myself initially. And then I've noticed that when I'm talking to people now, I'm actually using
things that you've sort of
so I thought, well, it might be a good idea. So I'm about halfway, 35,000 words into that book.
And your first book, like, where is it released, or
it's going to be on Kindle. It's going to go into Amazon and bookstores.
You should do an audiobook. Like, you should record it. That'd be amazing.
Well, there is an option to do an audiobook on it.
You should do it though. You should narrate it.
Well, I'd like to actually. I love audiobooks because I have ADHD. What I find is I can do stuff like the laundry.
I'm the same. Like, I only listen to audiobooks because I can't focus to read.
No. So I like to read, but reading to me is something that is a thing to do. But audiobooks are great.
I remember when I was younger, I used to get like panic attacks when I would get to the end of the chapter because I was like not finishing it quick enough. I was like I could feel my legs and that. And that's why I didn't like I love to read, but the actual, it's like more of a thing to do, like you're saying. But with audiobooks, I don't get that. You know, I can do whatever I'm doing, and take it in as well.
No, I love audiobooks. They're one of the best things, and the great thing now is the amount of YouTube stuff that's out there. Like philosophy at the moment is absolutely amazing. You go on YouTube and there's like the School of Life.
I know, it's such
such quality.
It's such a valuable tool. I mean, the sort of effort that people put into sort of YouTube videos and not maybe get much back from it, even like a short clip. There's a whole back end of stuff that went into that short clip that we don't see, and it's just an invaluable sort of tool as well.
What blows my mind is you've got something like the School of Life that are making these, I don't know who does the research, but they make these 5-minute long videos that are just completely condensed and very, very good. I read the books, I know about these things, and then you watch this thing, and then you see someone who is dropping a water balloon on a cat and gets 50 billion watches, while this guy's got 10,000, and you can just kind of sit there and you think, humanity.
But you can go on a rabbit hole with it. I've been really into sort of lifting weights again. You know, I'm on a sort of quote unquote bulking phase just now. And I'm in my sort of
I've put on 10 kilos in 8 months.
Oh, good. You have to give me your recipes afterwards. And so I've been into the big compound movements as well just now again.
How's your back doing?
Brilliant. Like I've been doing a lot of heavy compound with like really, really strict form. Like that's the thing I'm focused on mostly, and I don't get any problems with it.
That's brilliant.
And like I've been just on YouTube watching how to do strict and proper form for deadlift, and there's so much technique to these things. I mean, I always knew it was complicated, but the depth that these people go into to just show you how to do one compound movement, and it's amazing. You know, you can watch 50 of those videos, and
well, it's one of my favourite things is you can find an expert in anything on YouTube, and it's normally a 4-year-old child. We've got a till in the gym, and I couldn't make it work. It was like it had this number on it, and I looked at the instruction book, and I phoned up. So I went on YouTube, and there's this 4-year-old kid in America with the till, and she's like, and what you do now is you turn this to this, and then you do that. And I'm like, I'm actually learning this off a very small child, and you're like, that's brilliant, isn't it?
I did the same like a couple of weeks ago. My dad got a new car, and it wouldn't open with the key for some reason, and it was one of these ones that wouldn't open manually, but it was an electric one, and something was wrong with the electric, so it wouldn't open. And we were like, how are you supposed to get this open? And I just googled the make and model, and then YouTube, it came up a video of a little bit that there's a cap on one of the key entry points where you can take it off, and that's where you open it. Key. Yeah, and you can open all the electric doors. And I was like, you would never have found that out. No. You would have to go to the dealership, or
I think what we're doing now is in education is wrong, because what we have out there is we have all that information, and the kids can access it. I mean,
that must be going towards why being a teacher is becoming harder and harder and harder.
Well, I think what our education system was built for was to produce little robots that would go and do things. When now, what we should be teaching kids to do is to find the information or show them how to access it.
Give them the tools.
Yeah, because it's, I mean, I loved it a few months ago in a geography class, a really good geography teacher. And he sat there and he went, and the Congo Basin has this many trees, and you could see the kids go like that. No, you're wrong. You can see Stephen McCarthy go, Jesus. No, it's not 40,000 square feet. It's actually 50,000 square. But that's brilliant. Do you know what I mean? It's actually them showing an interest.
It's tough because I was never a school person. Initially I sort of had a really good time, but when I got to high school and I started I think I must have ADHD. And I think I have some form of adult ADHD because it all sort of rings true. And I struggled a lot with sort of focus in school. But I loved to learn though. That was the thing that was so weird. I loved history.
I was told I was a failure from being 3 years old. Basically, I was an uncontrollable monster child, and I had ADHD, and they didn't really discover it until I was in my late 20s. I also had dyslexia and dyscalculia, but
Laura has that. My girlfriend, she has dyscalculia.
But it's really interesting because I wasn't labelled as a kid, so you was labelled as a failure. So school to me was absolute torture, because I needed to sit in this seat and listen to this person for an hour. Yeah. And I'm like, horrible. I can't do that. It's not physically possible. Do you know what I mean? So
and you always zone out. You always do that thing where you try to look like you're listening, but you just your eyes, behind your eyes, you're just zoning out.
I did a lot of drawing. And in a meeting now, or when I'm talking to people, I'll have a notebook in front of me and I'll be doodling.
Right.
And to some people it seems rude. So at the start of the meeting, I'll go, look, if I start drawing in this book, it's nothing personal. It's just that I need to do something with my hands. I mean, I'm into crocheting. I like knitting and crocheting. And the reason for that was that my mum, to make me stop being a complete barnacle around the house, would give me a crochet hook and a bit of wool, and I'd be sat there in front of the telly watching Play School or whatever it was. And as long as I had something to do, I'd be fine. If you put that on the floor and get me to watch telly, I'd know I'd be swinging off the ceiling.
Well, I did the same when I was in primary school. Someone showed us how to knit, and I just took to it, not because of any sort of weird reason, but because it was something to do with my hands and my mind. And I think when you have ADHD, there is a tendency to be able to focus on something, one thing really super hard.
Do you find that you can't stand silence?
Yeah.
Yeah. My partner loves silence, and I would have everything on in the house.
Really?
Yeah, I like the tumble dryer to be on, and the washing machine. I like the microwave going. I
can fall asleep
and
to
the telly.
white noise.
Yeah,
like white noise. I can fall asleep to that.
Yeah.
I want to think I could. I love silence, but I think it does drive me wild, and I just wish it wouldn't, because it's obviously it's a good
It's
thing.
what we're told we're supposed to do, but like I don't know, as you as a kid, me as a kid, I would either have to have the radio or the stereo on or the telly on.
Yeah.
And it used to drive Evan mental, because I'd walk in the house and I'd turn the telly on and I'd walk away. And she's like, well, you're not even watching it. And I'm going, do you mean I'm not even watching it? It's there.
I can hear it.
Yeah. Yeah, I can. She says, what are you watching? And I'd go,
Doesn't matter.
Emmerdale. So you're an Emmerdale fan.
And then it was at that point she knew, because
Yeah.
no one watches Emmerdale.
No.
Not on
Like,
purpose.
I think with the great thing from my point of view is now that when these kids come and they've got ADHD, I know how they feel.
Yeah.
And when they've got dyslexia, I know how they feel. I've got vowel blindness.
Right.
So my A's, E's, I's and O's and U's, and when I write them,
Yeah.
they get all mixed up. So I look like I just can't spell.
Right.
It's horrendous.
Yeah.
So the great thing now these days is with a word processor, you can
Word
change.
processor.
Well,
all right, Granddad.
Well, I use a program called Grammarly.
Okay, I've heard about this. Yeah.
It's absolutely amazing because it really takes apart your grammar and rebuilds it. But
So just like for people that don't know what it is, do you want to sort of?
it's just an app you can buy off the internet, and what it does is, as you write, it levels different levels of how bad your grammar is or how good your grammar is. So if it's something that is really crap, it'll underline it in red.
Yeah.
And then across from that, it'll tell you exactly what you've done wrong and what you need to change to make it right. And then if it's not such bad grammar, but it might want to be looked at, it underlines it in yellow.
Yeah.
And it might be that you've put like a preposition at the end of a sentence or something like that. But it tells you in the corner how you should change it to make it better.
Right.
And then what you've got also available to you is you have proofreaders. So that if you produce a document,
No way.
and it costs something like, say you've done a really important email or a letter, and it's something that you have to have right.
You want it on the.
Yeah, like they charge you 3p a word. So you just send it off, you get it back within like 10 minutes, and it's been proofread, changed however it's been changed. They point out where it's been changed.
Okay.
And then you can send it off.
That's
and
brilliant.
for someone like me who has dyslexia, it's been an absolute lifesaver. It's like Word, level 2.
Right,
it's
okay.
fantastic. Yeah.
It's like AI Word.
Yeah.
And can you do this all within the app as well?
Yeah.
That's
yes,
crazy.
and you can open up the app in any form. You can use it on your mobile phone.
Right.
And you get it free. There's a free version, and then if you want more applications, you pay for it, and I think it's £11 a month, and it's been.
I've heard a lot
amazing.
of people talk about it. Unfortunately, my girlfriend has a degree in English literature, so I can just
just give it her.
She told me that when you say, I thought I was being all fancy when I say it, you and I, but it's proper to say you and me. You only use I when it's like just by yourself.
Yes.
And everyone always says, like, interrupts you when you're saying things like that, and they're like, you and I, and I'm like, yeah.
I'm not a fan of grammar Nazis. I'm really not. Yeah, there are certain.
She won't bring you up on it. She won't say that, but I ask a lot of things just because I want to know if I'm doing it right. Yeah. And she'll be like,
that's all right.
She pats me on the head.
Yeah. Well,
goodbye.
Ever my other half it's really annoying because English is her second language. She can speak about 5 languages, obviously, because that's what they do, what she does, and she speaks English and writes English much better than I do. And you kind of just sit there and you go, this is just ridiculous. I'm 44 years old in a language that I was brought up in, and I can't speak it as well as someone from Poland.
Who's been speaking it for how long, maybe?
She's, what is she, 27 now? So she's been speaking it since she was 15.
Right.
But if you look at the classes that they have over in Poland and stuff, it's much...
Everything's geared towards English now, learning it. China, that's their main, a lot of these Asian countries like that.
There's quite good money to be made in Skyping as a friend in China, isn't there?
Really?
Yeah, so like I've been looking for little side diversions, and one of them is that you can get paid £16 an hour just to go on Skype and chat with a Chinese person.
Is that because they feel so isolated and depressed, or is it?
No,
just
I think it's just to
their
practice their English.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Actually.
Yeah, so I thought £16 an hour is not actually too bad just to chat to somebody. Do you know?
Do they have someone sort of test you on your skills though before you go on?
Yeah,
because we're Scottish.
Hey mate, it's great there, it's great. So
because I'm Scottish, and
yeah. I think they have diverse profiles that you can choose from, but yeah, I thought that was quite cool. You just get a phone call from someone in China and you go, hi, hello, how are you? You know, but that economy is exploding so well at the moment.
It's huge. Like they're one of the biggest importers of wine now as well, and whiskey as well. Right. Like that's one of the main exports for Scotland, I think, is China.
Scottish whiskey is huge in China and Japan. Yeah. I mean,
and they just lowered their taxes on it, like the levy tax, so that's why more people are buying it as well.
Yeah, and it's seen as something special, isn't it? My dad was a whiskey buff. I never really got it.
No, I don't get it.
Not my thing.
I mean, I like a whiskey, but I'm not to the point where I'm like, oh, this is so and so over.
Yeah,
so-and-so.
My dad would sit there and savour them, and he would say, "This is full of rusty wheelbarrows." Yeah, Dad, whatever. It just tastes like whiskey to me. But yeah, he was a wine and whiskey connoisseur. That's what he called himself. Yeah.
You mean he was an alcoholic?
Yeah, he was. Yeah. I'm not going to take that away from him. Yeah. When you have whiskey with your cornflakes in the morning, it's not good, is it? Oh, it's a fine whiskey. It goes very well with crunchy nut cornflakes. Okay, Dad, that sounds fine. Yeah. Yeah, not good at all.
So, folks can get your book on...
It'll be on Amazon.
Yes, we didn't get to that point.
Yeah, it should go on Amazon within the next couple of weeks. Okay. I'm just waiting for the last proof thing to come through.
Have you got your cover and whatnot?
Cover's done. Publishers behind it. I had it sent back to me because I forgot to put a contents page in it, and there's loads of legalities that I didn't realise. Really? I've got to have a tax number in America that I didn't know I had to have a tax number, and you got to do all these little bits and pieces that I didn't know. So hopefully in 2 weeks' time that's being published, which will be really cool, and it'll be available on Kindle, and it'll be available on Amazon initially, and then it'll go into the bookstores, and then the second book will be probably ready about December time, and that's The Fighter's Mind or The Athlete's Mind. I haven't decided yet.
Are you writing it along with this Grammarly? Is that what you've been doing?
I've been using that, and then I use proofreaders from them, and then when you send it to the publishers, they proofread it, and they'll send back improvements. So that's a really good editorial thing. You learn a lot from that.
What made you start out to make a book? You know, because not a lot of people just go, well, I want to make a book.
I kind of sat there and I thought, what do I know about? I know about grappling and MMA, and I know about this and I know about that. So I'm really interested in philosophy and Stoic thinking, and really got into kind of Eastern philosophy at the moment, and noticed there's loads of self-help books out there, so there must be a market. And what I did was I went to the publisher and I gave them the first chapter. Yeah. And surprisingly, they went, that's really good. And I went, wow. So they then said, right, we'll give you 18 months to write it. Yeah. But they didn't give me any advance or anything like that. It was just a case of I get 70% back on if it sells. Wow. And I was stunned because when you speak to people about publishing your book, it's a nightmare getting someone to publish your book for you. So yeah, I constructed the book. They've read through it. They think it's really good. It's got some weird things in there, like barefoot walking. It's got a lot of.
That's not that weird though. Why would you think?
I know, but it's like it's a complete hodgepodge of things. It's not about just being happy in life. It's about how you should actually not have good technique when you do exercise. How you should, how you should eat. How you should behave around others. It's how I've got one section that is just on how to deal with a close relationship, like communication. Yeah. So, and it's just based along all these ideas, and it's my interpretation of what I've read, and that's all it is. What the publisher said is what they really like about it is it's just so succinct. Yeah. That it's just you get a little chapter, you get exactly a set. You get what it is, a set of instructions of how you can achieve it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the KISS principle, keeping it simple, stupid.
Okay. Never heard that one.
Really, it's like when you're planning, keep it simple.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like if you
stupid.
Well, you're not allowed to say stupid anymore.
Keep it simple.
Yeah, someone. But it's the KISS principle, which is that, and then the idea of managing teams.
Yeah.
You know, how many people can you effectively manage? Well, if you read the research, you can manage 6 people. Beyond 6 people, you can't manage.
Right.
Okay, so like when you're managing, when you put a team together, you should have 6 people in that team. Because then they can manage 6 people, and they can manage 6 people. And then from there, another principle would be like, life isn't fair.
Yeah.
And as soon as you accept that life isn't fair, then you can move on. You know, like a lot of people believe that they've got human rights and stuff. Well, human rights are given to you by other humans.
Yeah.
And being treated fairly is not really...
It's not fundamental right.
No, it's, you know, and people bemoan and cry about it, and you go, well, tough shit, live with it. So it's along different lines. It's got a bit of self-defense in there, not in the fact of the moves, but like there's a brilliant series of books called Safe at All Times, and it's just common sense things like when you phone for a taxi, if you're a female, ask for a female taxi driver. Right. Okay. Do you know, and just along these lines, and then when you bring up statistics like, you know, who rapes who and all that kind of stuff, and it's just going, when you're walking down the road, if you've got a very expensive set of headphones on and you're in a dodgy place, that's a very stupid thing to do. You know, it's just basics along those lines, and
like life tips sort of thing.
I really enjoyed writing it, and I really don't care if I only sell 1 copy, because as long as it's on my shelf, sat there, it's the book is black and gold bound. It looks absolutely cool. So yeah, I'm really excited about it in a way.
Well, when it comes out, just tell me and I'll promote
Boost
it.
it.
On the show here.
Yeah. I don't know how much it's going to be yet.
Okay. Is that the factor is how much it's going to be?
Well, I don't know. I genuinely don't know if I'm going to sell any. But yeah, it'd be really cool if I sold at least 1 copy. So yeah, someone buy one.
I think Kindle definitely has a big market for that sort of thing.
Well, I mean, when you get a book off Kindle, it's £1.50. Do you know what I mean? And what I like about the Kindle concept is that, I mean, I got rid of all my books, but I have an entire library on this little black thing that's 8mm thick.
It's crazy.
I love that. And you can have like 6 or 7 books open at the same time, and that's brilliant to me. Because like I
can't do that with actual books.
I get bored and move on to the next one. I've got a really kind of a real concept when I'm reading that if something's difficult, then I'll just go. Forget about it. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, the book should be good. Suave Magra on the 28th of April. So if there's any grapplers out there, it's £10 entry. And I think one of the people that was on it last time had 8 fights. Right. Yeah. So
I had 4 or 5.
Yeah. So you get a lot of grappling in your day.
Yeah. It's well worth it.
All submissions are in. There's a barbecue afterwards up at the pub. Yeah. So that's going to be fun. Yeah. So what's your next plans?
Actually, I was going to just end it on a slightly different note. Okay. So I'm going to ask you a few questions. Okay. Okay. What's your date of birth and your... No. So what is your favourite book you're reading at the moment?
My favourite book that I'm reading at the moment is... I'm actually reading fiction. It's Terry Pratchett. Right. And it's The Weird Sisters. They're my comfort books where I go to sleep on a Terry Pratchett book. Oh. The book that I'm reading for self-improvement at the moment is How to Be Fucking Awesome. Okay. Which is a really good book. Who wrote that? I can't even remember his name now. Right. That's terrible, isn't it? And yeah, those are the books that I'm reading. My favourite book, I don't really have a favourite book. Yeah.
Favourite movie?
Favourite movie?
The best one you've seen at this point?
The best one that I've seen at this point, I was a bit upset with The Shape of Water because everyone told me that it was going to be this amazing...
Wow, everyone keeps talking about it. I don't get
it. I watched it and I went, that was crap.
Splash.
I watched Thor Ragnarok, which I really enjoyed, which is brought out the 15-year-old kid in me. It was really good fun. That. Yeah. So I suppose that's my latest favourite movie, yeah. And
your favourite all-time quote?
My favourite all-time quote... was by a philosopher in the 1500s called Montaigne.
Tony Montaigne.
I think he was actually Anthony. Yeah.
Tony Montaigne.
Yeah, and his quote was that lords and ladies defecate, and that just means that everyone's equal, really.
Everyone shits.
Yeah. Yeah, if you ever get a chance, read some Montaigne, because he is a philosopher from the 1500s, and his works are just hilarious.
Right, okay.
Yeah, they really are good.
Any books of sort of note? Anything that he has of note, or just
he's got a number of bits out there, but it's a very, what I love about him is he rips the piss out of philosophers, telling them how wordy and shitty they are and stuff, and I really quite like that. Yeah.
That's what I've noticed about some people talking. You know, what's his name? The guy, the Canadian guy, the professor that got in trouble because he didn't want to. What's his name? Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
I've seen people sort of claiming, no, he's this sort of pretentious, wordy word, and use all those like series of words that they're sort of
going against.
Yeah, and it's like just stupid.
Well, I find that some people try to use words to sound impressive, and then you get people who sound impressive because they use the words.
Yeah.
So like I went to a thing with Stephen Fry where he talks about his life, and he just sat on the stage and talked about his life, and he was using these huge words, but it was fucking Stephen Fry. Yeah. And you kind of like what he was explaining, and then you get other people who sit there and try and drop them into conversation, like famous people they've met, and you just sit there and you go, I don't need to know that you met whoever.
I know,
do you know what
droppers.
I mean? Yeah. So yeah, it's a difficult one.
Cool. It's been good to have you on.
Right. I didn't feel that was a long time.
No, it's been like almost 2 hours.
Jesus.
I know you like an hour and 40 minutes.
And I came in and I went, "What are we going to talk about?"
That's what happens though. You just get carried in conversation.
Yeah, it's good.
And
You're really good at this.
Where can folks find you on social webs?
Instagram. I have Fenrir Thorvaldsen, shockingly enough, because there's me, and just then on Facebook it's Fenrir Thorvaldsen. And on Twitter, it's Fenrir Thorvaldsen.
What about YouTube?
Yeah, Fenrir Thorvaldsen.
Do you have your? I can't like have my own name yet on it. It's annoying.
Really?
Yeah, I've
got my own special.
Yeah,
thing.
Like your URL.
Yeah.
Can't yet.
You can't yet.
I have to have so many views or something like that before I can get my own, which is very frustrating.
Yeah, no, you'll get there though. You're doing a good job.
Well, they've moved the goalposts, like you said, so.
Yeah, that is a bit shocking. It's just about one idiot, isn't it?
I know.
Do you know what I mean? I think what YouTube are doing is they're trying to stop people making money.
Yeah, no, that's it.
Yeah.
People are probably making far too much money, I guess.
Yeah, well, some of these Fortnite players.
It's crazy.
There's one guy that's making 15 million a month on Fortnite. How? What? Hey?
I've played it.
Have you?
It's not that great.
Anyway. You've probably lost half your listeners now.
On that note, peace.
Bye.